Morning, Mashi.
Good evening, Dennis.
So you said that this is inspired by something we spoke about recently. So I'm curious. And you also, the part that terrified me most is you said, oh, you're going to love this, which never means I'm really going to love it, right? There's no way.
I mean, it's not in a bad way. It's going to get an eye roll or something like that from you. But I just want you to remember and acknowledge one thing at some point. You did this to yourself.
How many hearts does the author of this quote have? That's all I want to know. Is it 2? Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Okay.
All right. This one comes from Jodie Whittaker.
Very recent.
Doctor. Yeah, much maligned, actually. Unfairly so.
Great. She's a fantastic actress. I don't think it's her fault.
It's the writing.
Yeah.
The writering. I would say the writer and the writing.
That's the most armchair quarterback sentence I've ever heard. The writering in this is just not good enough. It's not up to snuff.
Yeah, it's just who's the writer on this? But it was bad. It's actually her first full episode, if I recall. This was a really good quote. I remember hearing it at the time, and it speaks. Without context, it didn't land as well. But
okay.
Looking at it again and thinking about it again, and the number of things we speak about in this way really resonated with me. We're capable of the most incredible change. We can evolve while still staying true to who we are. We can honor who we've been and choose who we want to be next. Now's your chance.
And is this quote about humans?
No.
It's about just beings, I guess. Okay.
She is giving an impassioned plea to an alien.
Okay.
To not kill someone.
So the guts that I get from this quote is that like every moment is a crossroads, and being the way you are is a continuous choice, and you have the opportunity to change that and evolve, right?
Yes, but there's more to it than that.
What do you see more to it than that?
Well, I also have the context of the episode, so
that's fair enough.
But here's the important parts here. We can evolve while staying true to who we are. We can honor who we've been and choose who we want to be next.
Honor who we've been is the important part. Yeah.
It's this way to embrace change, but understand it doesn't mean everything's gone. Everything's different. Don't be afraid. We can change and still be at our core who we are, or even better, who we've always wanted to be.
Something I struggle with a lot that is related to this. And it's weird because, as is often the case, this is something I don't struggle with other people, but struggle with myself a lot. So I believe that people contain multitudes, and people are made up of rich tapestries of their heritage, their experience, their choices, and everything. And like we mentioned this a couple of days ago, I can find something I agree with in basically everybody. But I struggle to accept for myself that the parts I like about myself and the parts I don't like about myself are not just connected, but joined, are the same, right? Mm-hmm. And that what resonated with me about that quote is you would acknowledge who you've been and still want to be something different. That part is I think easier said than done.
Oh, completely. I think that what holds a lot of us back from change, speaking for myself, I've gone through a lot of change in the last 6 months to a year. And when I reflect back on the things I knew I should have been doing, the actions I knew I should have taken, and why I didn't, comes down to fear. Really comes down to fear. I mean, maybe there's nothing to fear but fear itself. But the other thing that I think is really, really key is we can hold on to all that. We can find ways to still be ourselves. We don't need to let go of everything. Sometimes we do, but that's always our decision. We decide if we want to let go of everything. It doesn't have to be that scary. Some of these changes we make, I was on the phone with someone who was about to make a huge change, and the moment came upon him, and he said to me, "All right, I got to go. I'm about to change my life forever." And the enormity of the moment wasn't lost on me. Speaking for that person, they're in a much better place now. Mm-hmm. They made hard, difficult decisions that carried them through, and they're the same person. And I think that what's really important when we come to these crossroads, to make hard decisions, and sometimes to make seemingly hard decisions, like waking up at 6:30 in the morning to go to the gym, or committing to taking 20 minutes before coffee, before anything else, to sit and meditate or read an hour a day. I mean, those are all decisions too, right? They're maybe not as scary. But I think when we make these big changes, we have this calamitous reaction. Oh, I'm Chicken Little. The sky's going to fall in. It's all done now. Game over, man.
Well, humans are naturally risk averse, right? We're scared to change. Something that you said there that struck me as interesting, though, is you said, oh, but he's the same person. I don't think I agree with that. I think he's a different person, and that's okay. And that person is just as much like Denis today is just as much a part of the whole Denis experience as Denis 6 months ago, as Denis 5 years ago. They're all the same Denis. They're different. They make different decisions. They've changed. They've grown. I mean, I think it would be sad. It would be a tragedy if you're the same person you are 5 years ago, because it means you haven't learned or evolved enough.
What I meant was, kind of fundamentally, this person is very, very different now, but they are fundamentally the person I always knew and loved. And so, you make these huge calamitous decisions or these huge miraculous decisions. I don't know what's wrong. I got a bag of marbles in my mouth today.
You haven't finished the coffee. That's the problem. Usually you're 3 or 4 deep at this point. But no, I don't think I agree with you. I think there's plenty of aspects of that person that you loved, and those are still there, and that's important. I think it's dangerous to think that you are the sum of your parts at any given moment, because you're not. You're the sum of your parts of currently everything you've done in the past, everything you've done and will be in the future. And that is ever shifting, ephemeral, open to change. And I think being accepting of that, you're right, it is difficult, it's scary, but it's necessary to get through life and to make the most of it. That you can, who you are is not even malleable, it's liquid, I would say.
Oh, completely. I think to rephrase half of what you said, we are the sum of all our parts today, which we can say is built of yesterday and the day before and the day before.
And is building tomorrow.
And brimming with the potential of tomorrow. And to be honest, we make a decision, I believe, very strongly in this. We make a decision about what parts of each are we. Like most people say, I'm honestly say like I'm 90% the sum of my parts and yesterday's and 10% potential. Wrong. I think you can flip it. 90% potential, 95% potential. 5% the sum of your parts of yesterday. I really think you can flip it that drastic. Now, most people would say that's crazy.
Well, I mean, the problem is that yesterday, it's, I mean, again, that is probably extreme, but here's the thing. The stuff you've done yesterday and the stuff you've done up until the moment you're living in right now, it's not actionable. It's done. So in terms of devoting your brain space to it, that split does kind of make sense, to be honest.
And in terms of letting yesterday define tomorrow, rather than letting tomorrow define today. I think there's a huge difference there. You don't want to be pulling yesterday's baggage with you. You want to be pulling tomorrow's dreams. That's how you want to move forward, right? You want to grab onto your dreams tomorrow and pull yourself towards them. You don't want to be dragging everything from yesterday into the future with you. And I think that's certainly how I view myself. Now, does that mean I'm not dragging anything? No. It means I constantly recognize in myself the things I'm holding on to, and I try. It's not like, oh, let me let that go.
No, that's not easy, but it's understanding that it's not the goal. Like you mentioned a couple of things there, like getting up early, go to the gym, or taking time to meditate or reading. And it reminds me of what James Clear says in Atomic Habits, where he talks about, don't think about, I want to lose this many pounds, or I want to read 50 books by the end of the year. Think about, I want to be the kind of person who reads
exactly.
a lot. And that's a malleable, smaller pieces journey. And at any given moment, you can think, okay, am I gonna play video games? I'm gonna read. And you're gonna go, well, what would the kind of person who reads a lot do? And you're not gonna make the right quote unquote call every single time, but by having that identity tied to it, over time, you will start to ingrain those changes and pick them up. And that's much more valuable, much more attainable, and much less punitive than saying, I have this hard set goal and I succeed or I fail at it. It's not binary.
It's also, and this really does tie into our John Muir talk yesterday, form over substance. Do you want to be a godly person, a spiritual person, or do you want to be a churchgoer? You don't phrase it like, I have this goal that I need to read, 12 books. That's a very modest goal. I'm probably not going to hit it. 12 books a year, 1 book a month. Or do you want to be a well-read person? Do you need to go to the gym 4 to 5 days a week? Or do you want to be someone who's physically fit, taking care of themselves,
Mm-hmm.
or someone who looks good in a t-shirt? You know what I mean? You can choose.
The goals are up in the air. I agree. That's fine.
Right.
The idea that like you mentioned there talking about being the kind of person we talked about being the kind of person who does this, being the kind of person who does that. They are votes, and you talked about this in the book as well. Like you're not going to bat 1,000, and it's unrealistic to expect yourself to bat 1,000, and you're setting yourself up for failure by doing that. Think of the kind of person you want to be, and you, like you said, latch onto it and pull yourself towards it. And yes, you will be dragging things from behind. It is very natural, but so long as you acknowledge it and accept it and move on through it, you're going to still be moving in the right direction. And I think that's kind of what the quote says a little bit. It's very, when you say, oh, you always have a choice, there's always options to change, that feels quite stifling, right? It feels like a lot of pressure. But in reality, another way to explain that is there's always options and there's always opportunities to change and choices to be made, means any one individual one probably isn't going to be all that important, right? It's about the person who's making them over time.
And the key here is we fear change. That's part of our defense mechanism as humans, right? But we can evolve while staying true to who we are, honor who we've been, and choose who we want to be next. So, because I think sometimes when we make these sudden left turns, we feel like our life has been a lie.
Yeah, and you want to burn, like you want to draw a line in the sand, burn everything behind it, and you're like, this, I'm a new person now.
And that's scary. Or maybe that can hold you back. You could say, if I make that decision, the last 10 years of my life have been a lie. No. Find a way to honor it. Find a way to embrace the lessons of that time. I said 5%, whatever it is. We're going to bring that stuff with us. You have to be an extraordinary person, nearly on the level of enlightenment, to let go of everything in the past. Frankly, I will say about myself, I don't want to. The scars I carry, internal and external, they do a lot to help me define and frame who I am today. I wouldn't give them away. But I think some people would, and they should.
But there's a difference between giving them away and focusing on them. And that's
agreed.
The space we're talking about. And we can end on this. So when we talk about like trying to be a certain kind of person in the future, I think what you and I have kind of come to here is, rather than focusing on, I want to be a good person, try to focus on being a person who does good, right? And a person who does good might do bad sometimes. That doesn't make them a bad person. But if you focus on being a person who does good, and that can mean many things. That can mean looking good in a t-shirt. That can mean being charitable. That can be spending more time with your family or your friends or whatever. Be doing more of that, making it binary, setting yourself up for failure, but tying it to the kind of person you want to be and being forgiving of it, understanding that you're not always going to be like that, and you contain all of these different aspects, is a much more stable position, and I think one that's much more likely to succeed as well.
No question. Find that vision, that future version of yourself that you want to be, and think about how they feel, what they're thinking, what emotions they have, how they're interpreting life, and start adopting it, because that's just you. That's just the version of you that you want to be. And is that version of you perfect? No. Are they going to make mistakes? Yes. Can you make those mistakes and still be that version of that person? Not only can you, that is what that version of you does.
Exactly. And very poetically, Mashi, as you go into the beginning of your day and I come into the end of the mine, I hope you have a good morning.
I hope you have a great evening. Find that dream, lasso it, and pull yourself towards it, baby.